Hey everybody, what's up? It is Nick from Threat X3 Productions bringing you another Thinking About Things. And today's subject is very personal, and obviously everything is supposed to be from my point of view, and maybe soon we'll get Nate in here to talk about the things he thinks. Of course, that means he'd have to have thoughts in his head, and it's just empty, dark, and empty. But something very personal happened to me this week, and it's something kind of sad, and I don't think anybody else can really relate to it. So this week I deleted Battleborn. Battleborn was probably one of my favorite games of the year it came out, and in some ways one of my favorite games of all time. I don't know if it quite cracked the top 10, but I think it was very close to the top 10. There was so much about this game that I just absolutely loved. The characters, the abilities, just the concept itself. It was a MOBA. The creators of the game really didn't want to call it a MOBA because I think they were scared that people would think it was too hardcore or that the barrier of entry was going to be too high, but they tried so hard not to call it a MOBA, but it really was. It was a MOBA, but it was a first-person shooter MOBA, and it did it in such a good way, in my personal opinion, and everything about it was so much fun. And one of the things it had that no MOBA ever had was a story to it. So this, you could go through 8 missions, and it had a pretty basic story to it, you know, into the world, let's go save it. But it was really the characters, the 26 different characters, and how each one of them had different responses to everything that was going on in the story. And going through multiple times just to see what, you know, Nico had to say versus Wrath, or what Montana would say if you put him in the same mission as Oscar Mike. These different character interactions, and the fact that some of them are friends and some of them hate each other, and the way that that would play off each other, and then they would say different lines depending on what mission they're on. It was just a really cool experience, and it was something that you never got from like a MOBA or even just a MOBA light game. And then the multiplayer was just as fun, trying to outwit the other team and make sure that you played to people's strengths and weaknesses. This was really cool, and I really liked it. But unfortunately, not a lot of people really gravitated towards this game, and it was unfortunately because it came out around the same time as Overwatch. And I've talked about this before in the past, but since we kind of started anew with Threat X3 Productions, I thought it would be a good time to talk about it again. There are several things I think that make Battleborn a really good game, and because it was too similar to another game, it was just basically thrown off to the side, and it was really unfair. And so when I ended up deleting it, it was mainly because I hadn't played it in a while. And the reason I hadn't played it in a while is because it was really hard to find matches. But it was such a fun game. Even if I played against bots, I had so much fun. And it was just a really sad experience. This is gonna sound cheesy, but I even kind of welled up a little bit. Not straight up tears, but I could feel the tears like right in the back of my eye. It was like they were ready to come out, but it wasn't quite as intense. But still, it was just a really sad experience because it's something I loved. Even up to this day, I made sure to play a couple of rounds before I deleted it because it's like, you know, I had to give it a proper send-off. That's actually what you're watching right now, is my last couple of matches. And even to this day, I had so much fun playing it. I had so much fun with the different characters, and do I want to be a healer or do I want to be a straight up attacker? Do I want to be a hybrid of the two? Do I want to be a melee character, or do I want a gun? It really goes to show you that when you come out really, really matters. You know, we're seeing it now with like Red Dead Redemption. And with Red Dead Redemption, nobody wants to put out a game anywhere even close to it. And it's because it's such a gigantic game by such a gigantic studio that it's basically a black hole around it. And it's funny because that's kind of what happened with Blizzard and Gearsoft. Battleborn coming out right around Overwatch was its main downfall. Just like Titanfall coming out around Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty was its downfall. I hope we get a Titanfall 3. Its lackluster performance was 100% because of where it was released, not whether or not it was a good game, because it was a great freaking game. And so was Battleborn. Battleborn is a good game. It's just people had this expectation. So even going into the game, knowing what Overwatch is and knowing how it plays and just what type of game it is, going into Battleborn and experiencing something different, something that you do actually have to learn, and you can't just jump into it and start killing. You are going to have to learn it, and that turned a lot of people off, which is sad because in my personal opinion, Battleborn can be a better game than Overwatch. And it's because there's more depth to it. It's because there's actual like leveling up, and my Shane and Arix could be different than your Shane and Arix because of the way I build them, because the way I put on my loadout. A lot of people like to point towards the marketing of Battleborn, and they like to blame that on the fact that it failed. And honestly, I don't think so. I think it was people's expectations and unwillingness to, even do proper research. I knew what the game was from day one. I knew what to expect from it. I knew how the single player experience or the co-op experience was going to play out. I knew how the multiplayer experience was going to come out. And that's because I took the time to look at a couple of articles or just watch the different trailers that they came out with. And it was pretty clear what it was. But when other people tried to watch it, they were confused about what it was. And I'm confused about their confusion because it's pretty clear that it's a MOBA, and it also has a single player that you can play with 4 other friends and just have some fun. And it seemed like a lot of people tried to blame it on the marketing, and it's like, it's confusing, and shouldn't this be free to play? It's like, well, no, you get all the characters from the very beginning instead of having to grind towards them. And it just little things just was so frustrating about this. And it's like, this is usually a game I think I'd be able to play with my wife, a co-op game where we can just do single player and have a good time. And like, not even my wife got into it. It was such a weird thing, because it's like she loved Borderlands, and this was pretty much Borderlands, only different. It had the same Borderlands feel. It had the same, even the enemies kind of felt similar, but in a good way, because obviously it was still in its own universe. But there was enough different, I guess. The fact that you had to like level up each time, maybe that's not what she liked, but so sad. So I ended up having to delete it because, it was 26 gigs, and in today's age, wanting to download another new game could be 50 gigs, and there's 26 gigs just sitting there and waiting to be touched, giggity. But I just played it less and less, and it wasn't because I hated the game. It wasn't because I thought it was a shit game. I played it less and less because I had nobody to play it with, and it was a game that was made to be played with others. And so I ended up deleting it, and it was really sad. It was this weird experience. Like, I didn't want to do it, but I also didn't see the point in keeping it on my system, And I mean, I probably could say the same thing about Evolve. Evolve was such a good experience, such a good team-oriented game, and honestly, it probably just came out at the wrong time. Same thing with Borderlands. If it would have came out at a different time when people were a little bit more accepting of team-oriented stuff, who knows? Both of those games could have done so much better. But unfortunately, they didn't. So what do you guys think? Did you ever play Battleborn? What were your thoughts on it? Do you think that it deserved better, or do you think it deserved exactly what it got? What is a game that you absolutely love beyond all reason, unconditionally, but for some reason, the general public just thinks it's either mediocre or complete trash? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, let me know what's the next thing you think I should talk about in thinking about things. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to like us on Twitter. You can go to our threatx3productions.com. Talk to us there. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a good day.